If your mom uses a loud voice and your pet name, it may be a moment of truth. If you're called to the principal's office or get an F, it may be a moment of truth. If you're written up or fired, it may be a moment of truth. If your spouse says, "This changes or I'm out of here," that is definitely a moment of truth. If you wake up in your car and you hit the garage after running over the tulip bed and you don't remember a thing, that is definitely a moment of truth. If your doctor gives you bad numbers for your weight and blood pressure or tests, that may be a moment of truth. If John the Baptist calls you a brood of vipers, that may be a moment of truth. Moments of truth crop up one way or another all our life long, and they are times when some unpleasant facts are coming out and demand attention. When things seem to be getting harder and harder, when people are losing patience, when some negative consequences are beginning to hit home, when you have to start thinking hard about what you're doing. Now, how do we react to moments of truth? Honestly, not too well. When you corner me with bad news, I'm tempted to deny it, even in the face of overwhelming proof, or lie my way out of it, even if my lies are ridiculous, or make excuses or blame someone else, even if I hurt someone I love. Or maybe change the subject, or make a joke, or create alternative facts, or flare up at you, even if it's me that I'm angry with. I'm likely to figure out, how can I go on doing exactly what I've always done and maybe just tweak it a little bit, even if it's self-destructive. People die that way, you know? And I'm inclined to feel oh so sorry for myself. We hate moments of truth, I think, mainly because we're afraid. We're afraid of being punished or mocked. We're afraid we may have to work hard or make changes, and that's hard. We're afraid of losing the freedom to do as we please or losing control. We're afraid that maybe our normal may not really be normal. That life or truth or goodness may be somehow different from the way we see them, and then where are we? And the more afraid we are, the more likely we are to try to keep life exactly the way it is, even if it isn't so good. Because if life is just going to be crummy regardless, then better the devil you know than the devil you don't. What makes it so hard for people of faith is that God must bring us to moments of truth on a fairly routine basis because he loves us. But we don't like it when he does. There's a part of us that only wants God to make us feel good on fairly easy terms. And so we want inspiration, or we want good vibes, or we want God to give us a lift, and we get testy with him when he doesn't. And this is why the human race is often uncomfortable with the living God. Not always, but often. And then maybe we try to make it our discomfort God's fault, or maybe it's the church's fault. Well, God wasn't there for me when I needed him, or the church was mean to me. That's why I want nothing to do with religion. Well, there may be some truth in all that, but it's also an excuse. Look, human beings, we all find it challenging sometimes to be in the same room with the living God. The whole story of the Old Testament is about how we hide from God like poor Adam in the garden, or how we create idols and false gods who will be controllable and make us feel good on demand. One of the biggest false gods in this country now is opioids. We created them to provide instant relief on demand, but they have now killed more of us than World War II and Vietnam combined. I have buried some of that, and that should tell us something. We live in a culture that does not know what to do with pain except try to make it stop immediately. We live in an entertainment culture where we demand to be amused or pleasingly excited all the time. We live in a commercial culture where we feel we have the right to demand exactly what we want now. We live in a culture where everyone has a right to his own opinion, and no one has a right even to hint that I should reconsider mine. Don't judge me. We live in an instant culture where I have to have it now. And this is why John the Baptist has his work cut out for him in every age. People don't like to hear what he has to say. And John's socially awkward, you know. John, your clothing is tacky and your food is gross, and it's just rude to call people snakes, okay? Or, you're threatening me, John, I could sue you. He just rubs people the wrong way. He hurts people's feelings. He's a downer. But if you suggested any of those things to John, he might be very surprised and even a little offended. What do you mean? I'm not doing this because I hate people. I'm doing this because I love people. And there were people who were out there to hear him gladly. They welcomed him because look at the heart of his message. It's beautiful. The kingdom of heaven has drawn near. God is taking direct control of your life. How good is that? Just think what that means. God is taking direct control of your life. All the other stuff that wants to control our lives is getting pushed away. We are being set free. In our text, John is calling out the Sadducees and the Pharisees. Why? Because they ran the temple, and they were using the temple to squeeze money out of people while collaborating with the Romans to keep the country under the Romans' heel. And now John is saying, the priests aren't in control, the Pharisees aren't in control, the Romans aren't in control, God is in control. How good is that? And let's just play this through our minds. You know, I spent a lifetime reacting to certain situations on the basis of some bad memories. People long dead have been in control of my life in certain situations, but here John is saying the kingdom of heaven has drawn near. God is in control of your life now. You are freed from that. And what about the person who was always afraid of what other people think? Everyone in the room becomes a threat or a tyrant. But what if God is the only one whose opinion matters? How good is that? What about the voices of consumerism driving us to spend more than we can possibly afford? No, they are not in control of our lives. God is in control of our lives, thank you. And we can live with sanity. And think of the various factors in your life that are trying to or threatening to dominate you. It could be fear. It could be your phone. It's so interesting to watch people going around praying to their phones all day, you know. Instead of going around and talking to people, they are dominated by what somebody else wants them to see. The message of John the Baptist is a gracious message of freedom. The kingdom of heaven has drawn near. It's not the freedom, the illusory freedom of doing whatever I want to do, but the real freedom of living in the will of God, who knows me perfectly because he made me. The God who is close to me because he became like me and put his spirit in my heart. The God who loves me so much that he gave up all of his privileges to die for me. The God who has given me such lavish promises. The God whose wisdom and love are the greatest powers in the universe. I don't want anybody else in charge of my life but him, not even me. See, we don't have to be afraid of God after all. We really don't. And if I have to deal with a certain amount of inconvenience, suffer a few losses, make a few adjustments, admit some mistakes to give him room, repent a little or a lot, well, that's worth it. I'll take it.